on each side of the neural tube. Shows the ventral dorsal dilatation and the ventral dilatation or the thickenings. The ventral thickening, this one is known as the basal plate, while the dorsal thickening is known as the alar plate. This alar plate gives rise the sensory horn or dorsal horn, while this basal plate gives rise the ventral or the motor horn. A longitudinal groove, this is a groove between the alar and the basal plate, is known as the sulcus limitans. So it is also the portion, the dorsal and ventral midline portion of the neural tube, dorsal and ventral portion of the neural tube known as the roof and the floor plate. This is the roof plate and this is the floor plate. And it is very important point that these both do not contain the neuroblast cells. Very important BCQ. Roof plate and floor plate do not contain the neuroblast cells. Now this intermediate horn, in addition to the ventral and the dorsal horn, a group of neurons accumulate between these two areas and forms the intermediate horn. This intermediate horn contains neuron of the sympathetic portion of the autonomic nervous system, and this horn is only present in the whole of the thoracic, mean from T1 to T12, and upper lumbar level L2 or L3 of the spinal cord. This lateral horn is not present above the thoracic and not present below the L3. And this diagram shows these are the formation of the dorsal root, that is the sensory root, and the formation of the ventral root. Motor axon from the ventral root grow out from the neurons in the basal plate, and centrally and peripherally growing fibers of these nerves in the dorsal root. अब dorsal root से भी इसी तरीके से fibers जा रहे हैं, and they will give rise the dorsal root, sensory root, and the ventral motor root. When these two roots combine together and forms the trunk of the spinal nerve. Now you can see that this is the neuron present. This is the ventral horn. Ventral horn. These are the multipolar neuron which are motor in action, and this is the axon of these neuron. The portion of the axon present within the central nervous system is that, and the portion which goes outward is that. This diagram shows that the portion which is a portion of the axon present in the central nervous system is myelinated by these blue colored oligodendrocytes, and while the portion of the axon outside the central nervous system, mean peripheral nerve present in the peripheral nervous system, is myelinated by many numbers of the Schwann cells. So myelination of the peripheral nervous system is by the Schwann cell, and in the central nervous system by the oligodendrocytes. These oligodendrocytes have short processes, and they give the envelope the fibers of dozen fibers may envelope around them. While in the peripheral nervous system, the axon is larger, so the one Schwann cell does not complete its myelination, so many axon cells forms the myelination of the peripheral nervous system. The Schwann cell myelinate the peripheral nervous system, with each cell myelinated only a single axon. These cells originate from the neural crescents. It is very important BCQ. and migrate peripherally and wrap themselves around the axon and forming the neurulima or the myelin sheath of the peripheral nervous system. Beginning at the 4th month of the fetal life, it is very important. Many nerve fibers take a whitish appearance because of the myelin sheath. So, now some congenital abnormalities of the brain: meningocoele, meningoencephalocoele, anencephaly, and the hydrocephaly. What is meningocoele? Partial or total absence of the occipital bone results in protrusion of the meninges from the brain. अगर meninges from brain occipital region से निकल रहे हैं तो हम उसको क्या करें? meningocoele. Meningoencephalocoele. Encephalo is word used for the brain. Mean meninges और brain दोनों ही बाहर आ रहे होंगे. Large defect of the occipital bone results in protrusion part of the brain and even the ventricles. What is anencephaly? Failure of the cephalic part of the neural tube to close. Mean anterior neuropore अगर close नहीं होगा तो it will give rise the defect known as the anencephaly. The vault of the skull is missing. In this condition, the vault of the skull should be missing. Hydrocephalus, abnormal accumulation of the CSF, और accumulation CSF होती ही ventricles में. So कहीं भी blockage होगी ventricles में तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? Hydrocephalus होगी. ठीक है. Now the neural tube defects result from the failure of the neural tube spontaneously between it is very important BCQ. The neural tube defects occur at which week? 3rd to 4th week in uterus or inside the uterus. The possible etiological factors are the radiations, drugs, malnutrition, chemicals, and mutation, especially in the deficiency of the folic acid. In this diagram, this is the vertebrae. These are the transverse processes, right and left, and these are the vertebral arches. Normally, these vertebral arteries should be fused with each other and then they give rise the spinal canal, vertebral canal in which the spinal cord should be present. But if these vertebral arches fail to fuse and nothing of the meninges and spinal cord protrude out, it will give rise the spina bifida occulta. Why spina bifida occurs? Spina bifida occurs due to the failure of the vertebral arches. Very, very important BCQ. And if nothing means not spinal cord, not meninges, not its ventricle protruded from skin, and only the bunch of hair is present at that side where the defect is present, is known as the spina bifida occulta. In this diagram, the vertebral arches are also fails to fuse, and the meninges of the spinal cord protruded. And this is skin. And when only meninges protrude, this is the meningocoele. And in this diagram, meninges with the spinal cord or spinal nerves protruded, this is known as the meningomyelocele. Meningomyelocele. This is the OSPE. For the exam point of view, identify the A and D. What is A? It is alar plate. What is D? It is the marginal layer. What are the derivatives of basal plate? This plate gives rise the dorsal ventral root. At birth, spinal cord adds at which vertebral level? At the lower border of L1 or at the upper border of the L2. What is sulcus limites? The groove or between the alar and the basal plate is known as the sulcus limites. What is Arnold-Chiari syndrome? कि मैंने पिछले डायग्राम में पढ़ाया था जब मैंने मेडुला पढ़ाया था, जब मैंने सेरिबेलम पढ़ाया था. सेरिबेलम का जो एक पोर्शन है टॉन्सिल, जब वो प्रोट्रूड करता है फोरामेन मैग्नम से उसकी वजह से हर्निएशन, उसको कहते हैं हर्निएशन ऑफ द टॉन्सिल फ्रॉम द फोरामेन मैग्नम, एंड टॉन्सिल इज ए पार्ट ऑफ द सेरिबेलम। तो सेरिबेलम के अंदर हमारे पास रिस्पायरेटरी सेंटर्स होते हैं, जिसकी वजह से वो डेथ भी हो सकती है। तो इसमें इस कंडीशन को हम कहते हैं आर्नोल्ड चेरी malformation. The anterior and posterior neuropore closure during which week of the embryonic development? Anterior मैंने आपको बताया 25th day and the posterior 27th और 28th day। यानी कि अगर बात की जाए तो हम ये कहेंगे 4th week of the development। ठीक है, वीक्स में पूछें तो 4th week होगा, डेज में पूछेंगे तो 25th and 27th days। Which of the following condition result from the failure of the anterior neuropore? Anterior neuropore जब क्लोज नहीं होता तो मैंने आपको कहा एनेन्सेफेली होती है, जिसमें स्कल का वॉल्ट एब्सेंट होता है। The flexure that develop between the metencephalon and myelencephalon, जिसको मैंने पोंटाइन फ्लेक्शन कहा था। ठीक है, अच्छा, which of the following statement best describe the sulcus limitans? Sulcus limitans, it is found in the interpendicular fossa. No, interpendicular fossa is a part of the midbrain. It is located between the alar and basal plate. This is true. Which of the following is the most common cause of the congenital hydrocephalus? Mean increase amount of the excessive amount of CSF. CSF, it means it will be the defect of the cavities or ventricles, and this cranium bifid is not a defect of the cranial ventricles. Cranium bifid with meningohead, no, this is also not a related with these ventricles. The acute stenosis, acute is the cavity of the midbrain, and this is the also known as the ductus salvis, and so that will be the answer. Thank you.